Kansas, KU, Oklahoma. We've got kickoff coming up next from Norman.
105th meeting between Oklahoma and Kansas. The Sooners have won 15 in a row against the Jayhawks. Oklahoma won the toss and deferred, so Kansas will receive. Kenny Logan, who took a kick return back for a touchdown last week, the deep man for Kansas, and Gabe Burkitz to send it away for Oklahoma. And the game's afoot in Norman. Logan across the 25-yard line for KU. And we get our first look at this Kansas offense led by Jalen Daniels, a true freshman, making just his 5th career start. He offers promise and a little bit of hope to this winless team.
Well, he does. And you look at the numbers, they're not going to be spectacular. He's just a freshman. But what he can do is get him out of trouble. They've got to avoid negative plays. They've got to be able to continue to move the ball and get first downs and then get in the red area and be productive. That's been a struggle for this offense.
Kansas today without its starting running back, Velton Gardner. Daniels comes out throwing, and a low throw caught by Andrew Parchment in his 2nd season with the Jayhawks. Junior college transferred, brings up 2nd and 5.
I actually like that play call right there, Anish. Just get the ball out of your hand quickly, get an easy completion. Now you're in 2nd and 5. Now you got to get the ball up and give your guy a chance to turn the corner and make some yards after catch.
Daniel Highshaw joins Daniels in the backfield. Daniels under pressure, takes a hit, throws low, and when you watch Daniels, he's been running for his life this season. It's going to be tough. A young offensive line with an injury to Chris Hughes against what is a pretty good Oklahoma defensive front.
Best defensive front I've seen in years. They are so active, so disruptive, and Alex Grinch, the defensive coordinator for Oklahoma, gives you so many different looks to try and create that disruption. It's going to be up to the freshman, Jalen Daniels, to decipher all through that and make good decisions today.
Third down. That's Kwame Lassiter for a first down. He's their top receiver this year. Legacy kid whose dad played at Kansas in the early 90s. Father spent some time in the NFL and unfortunately passed away about a year ago.
Nice little drive. A team in Kansas has been very poor on third down. A lot of 3-and-outs this year. Moving the chains. Have a nice little plan for the young freshman quarterback.
Again to the air. Daniels throwing incomplete. Broken up by Trey Norwood, who had a couple of picks last week.
I think the thing you got to look for with Jalen Daniels is take what the defense gives you. Let the game come to you. There is no need to have to force the ball. You guys are going to be diverse on offense. We're going to see screen. We're going to see RPO, the run-pass option. And I know that Velton Gardner's out today. They're starting running back, but they've got some suitable backs as well.
First run play of the day. It's Daniel Highshaw, and he is devoured by a sea of red. It's homecoming for Highshaw, who's from Moore, just 10 minutes outside of Norman.
Yeah, Highshaw does a nice job just to get back to the line of scrimmage and then gets north and south to avoid extra yardage being lost on that play. And that's a lot of Oklahoma jerseys scurry into the football there. I think that's one thing that Alex Grinch deserves a lot of credit for. This team plays really hard on the defensive side of the football.
Oklahoma's been pretty good on third downs defensively. Kansas has struggled there offensively. Edge pressure. Daniels flushed. And is that intercepted? It is. Trey Brown, his 2nd pick of the 2020 season.
Oh, young quarterback, Anish, under duress. You know, he's trying to make things happen. He's trying
Rolling on the field, it was an interception by the defense. Holding. Offense, number 61. That penalty's declined. First down, Kansas, Oklahoma.
You're just trying to extend the play here, get out of trouble, flush to the right, and he throws it late to the sideline. You just can't do that. As a young quarterback, he's going to learn it might just be best to eat it, punt, get your defense on the field, and play field position. Now you put what has been a vaunted offense the last 2.5 weeks for Oklahoma on the field with tremendous field position.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler leading the way at quarterback. And he'll throw on first down. Out of the backfield, it's Jeremiah Hall. And he's shoved out of bounds at the 40 by Gavin Potter. A week ago against Texas Tech, Oklahoma exploded for 48 points in the first half.
They are so good when they run the football effectively early because it takes the pressure off the quarterback, and Spencer Rattler has been exceptional in their play-action pass game.
Little screen pass from Andre Stevenson. Runs like Hermes, but built like Hercules. And he's out of bounds, and a red zone opportunity for OU.
How about the touch on this throw from Spencer Rattler? A little token fake, and then just throws it up and over, lays it nice and easy in the basket for Stevenson. And that's another, I think, underrated aspect of this offense. The backs are really good in the passing game.
And getting Stevenson back was huge. He came back a week ago from a suspension that stemmed from a failed drug test before the Peach Bowl last year. Had 3 touchdowns in his return. Off play action all day for Rattler. Wide open, Austin Stogner. He'll waltz in. An easy touchdown drive for Oklahoma off the turnover. 6-0 Sooners.
Well, Anish, we told you off the top what has been opened up by the run game. The play action pass. Look at the token fake. You got the short roll outside of the pocket, and all day long for Spencer Rattler to throw back to Stogner on the drag route going backside into the boundary. And that is a calm, poised, very, very efficient quarterback that's playing the best football of his career, and he's just a redshirt freshman.
Burkage's PAT is good. It started with the Trey Brown interception. Just a few plays later, Rattler to Stogner. His 3rd receiving touchdown, the Sooners striking early.
Head coach here actually has had some adversity in the first few weeks, and his team has responded well.
Let's check in with the studio. Pac-12 after dawn today. And a flag flies.
False start. Offense number 61. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Left tackle Malik Clark. He is a senior who started every game, but this offensive line for Kansas, young and growing pains, doesn't even begin to explain it.
Yeah, battered and bruised. Garrett Jones, number 62, out today. Chris Hughes, number 76, out today. They're just trying to piece it together.
Daniels pass, batted down, and it's going to be 2nd down and long. You're starting to see a lot more size up front from Oklahoma than in years past.
That's the blueprint. When Alex Grinch came here, he sat down with Lincoln Riley and said, this is the style of athlete we need. We need length. We need long-armed guys on the edge. And we need to be able to run better. We cannot be an undersized defensive front at Oklahoma.
Daniels wanted Parchment, and it's incomplete, covered well by Brown. And it sets up 3rd and long.
Well, now you got yourself in 3rd and 15 with a defensive front from Oklahoma that is going to come after you. See, they don't fear the weapons for Kansas. So you're going to look at this front. You look at the length up front on defense. 6'5", 267 from Isaiah Thomas. That's the body type Oklahoma wants going forward. Generally, they've been a 6'2", to a 6'1", to 6'3", 230 to 245 team. Now they look different on the hoof, and as a result, they're playing a lot better too.
Rushing for Daniels, submerged. Ronnie Perkins, 2nd game back from a suspension. That's their best defensive player. He's made a solid defensive line that much better.
Well, he has, and Nick Bonito, number 11, has been their guy off the edge. He's been the guy that's rushed the passer, created pressure and pressure downs. But now that they've got 7, Ronnie Perkins back, you've got to contend with 2 guys on opposite sides that can really be disruptive and get after the quarterback.
Reese Vernon to punt it away, and this has been adventurous for Kansas. No chance here for Marvin Mims, one of the best return men in the country. And Oklahoma will take over with a 7-0 lead. 11:07 to go in this opening quarter. Another chance for Spencer Rattler and this offense.
You're going to continue to stand next to me, and you're going to watch. And once you realize that we're not going to have that in our program at the quarterback position, as we got a turnover right here, Oklahoma very fortunate to jump on that football. That's Stogner, the tight end, number 18. But getting back to Lincoln Riley and what he did, he sat him down and he sent a message. And obviously the message was received because Spencer Rattler outlined this strip and edge rush right there from Kyron Johnson, number 15 for Kansas, did a nice job. Got to secure the football within the pocket. But Lincoln Riley knew how to get to the core of Spencer Rattler, and he did.
On the zone read, the give is to Ramondre Stevenson. Little stutter step, and then charges across the 40. Cold fusion of vision, power, patience, and speed.
He is a load. He just gives them such a physical nature. And I mentioned early that the offensive line has flipped a switch. They're powerful. They're dominant. They've got a nasty streak. Now you bring this bowling ball of a back that is just, he's like a hammer. And it changes the nature of your offense. And I think that's ultimately what Lincoln Riley wants to be. He wants to demoralize you with their run game.
3rd and 6. Kansas bringing pressure. Rattler will try to run for it. And he's able to move the chains. Down to Chris.
Anish Ramondre Stevenson back, last week for the first time. And after his 3rd touchdown, he lifted up his shirt. And underneath that T-shirt was the phrase, "I'm back." He has had a roller coaster of a career. His senior year of high school, missed almost the entire year with a foot injury. Then he didn't play football for another year. He said missing all that time mentally and emotionally prepared him for sitting out this season.
Yeah, Chris, I think when you're somebody that loves the game the way that he does, and you see the passion and the enthusiasm, as you see the shirt right there, that he plays with, when it's taken away, that motivates him. He didn't pout. He didn't say, woe is me, this isn't my fault. He came back stronger.
And he just ran angry last week. Rattler is intercepted. Kenny Logan with a pick in 2 consecutive games, and that turnover streak ends for Oklahoma's
Rolling on the field is an
redshirt
interception.
freshman quarterback.
First down, Kansas.
Spencer Rattler knows better than this. He sees the pressure coming off to the left as well as through the B gap there and throws. Coming back, Oklahoma turning the ball over. This is the player right here that actually intercepts the ball. You've got yourself a 5-man pressure from Kansas. That makes Spencer Rattler flush to his right. Now, if we let this run for a second, you're going to see the play develop. Spencer Rattler's going to get out of the pocket here. Now, let's go ahead and stop it right here. And right there, you've got 27. He is going to be going, and he's going to try and get vertical. This is the player that comes and intercepts it because Rambo 14 doesn't continue to go, let it run, and get to the football. He stops on it, and I think Spencer Rattler thinks he's going to cross face, and he doesn't.
Daniels will keep it on the zone read, slides down shy of the marker. So that's on Rambo, not as much on the quarterback.
Well, it's a dangerous, risky throw on the quarterback. It's on Rambo. The rules are when you are short and the quarterback's out of the pocket, you screen deep. If you're deep, you come back to the quarterback. Rambo's been very inconsistent lately, and that was not a good effort play on his part.
Here is Highshaw, homecoming hero this week, and he's able to move the chains. Remember, Kansas, no Velton Gardner, their leading rusher, and their top running back and best player, Puka Williams, opted out last month. Puka wanted to be closer to his ailing mother in Louisiana. Daniels again keeping, and a great tackle in space by the nickelback, Brendan Radley Hiles.
Yeah, Radley Hiles is an undersized defender that he's kind of a guy that without a position. And the 2 safeties in this defense are probably the area they need to improve the most. The corners have really improved. We've talked about the front 7, but the safeties have been picked on a little bit in this Oklahoma defense. It was a terrific job spying quarterback run on Jalen Daniels, making the tackle in space.
Caught by Lassiter, and he's brought down by Delarian Turner-Yell. 3rd down for Kansas, only 25% on 3rd down this season.
Jalen Daniels got a live arm, doesn't he? I mean, that ball comes out of his hand quickly, and that's another thing. When you're under duress and you're struggling in the offensive line, You can help your offensive line by getting the ball out on time, beating the rush with your arm, and then again, getting yourself in manageable third down conversions, which they're in right here.
Luke Grimm in motion. He was a favorite target of Daniels last week, and this is intercepted. Radley Hiles comes up with the pick. Second interception for Oklahoma today, already the third pick we've seen in this game.
Well, they're trying to set up Grimm in motion to be able to hit the flat route and get to 5 yards. And Bradley
Early on the
Hiles,
field is an interception. First down.
Bradley Hiles ends up stepping in front of this football. And I want to see the end of this play. The ball comes loose. Does the ball stay in bounds with the Kansas offensive lineman recovering it, Anish?
They may have to look at that.
They're going to have to take a look at this because I don't know if Radley Hiles was out of bounds, but the ball was knocked out of his hand and the ball came inbounds. This needs to be looked at.
From first glance, it looked like he had stepped out of bounds, but take a closer look. At any point now, does that foot go out of bounds before the ball comes out?
Well, you got to look at it as an officiating crew. The ball's loose. It's tough to tell where his foot is from that angle.
Well, right there, it looks like he steps out of bounds.
But is the ball already jarred loose? Has he lost possession of the ball because the ball came in bounds?
The previous play is under further review. After further review, the runner fumbled the ball prior to stepping out of bounds. The recovery was by a Kansas player. It'll be first down Kansas on the 24-yard line.
Kevin Maul, college football. Spencer Rattler following legends and walking literally into dinosaur footprints.
Well, you take a look at the numbers, and you can't come away with looking at those numbers without being incredibly impressed through 6 games. The difference is the losses early on in the season. But let's have some perspective. Those 3 gentlemen right there, 2 of which won the Heisman Trophy, all came into the Oklahoma program with a lot of equity. They'd played a lot of football. They'd played meaningful snaps. This young man's just a redshirt freshman. We've got to understand that there's so much in front of him that he doesn't know yet that those other guys already did, and he's still accomplishing all kinds of great feats early on.
TJ Pledger on first down across midfield into Jayhawk territory. Pledger 5th in the conference in rushing, and it's been running back by committee before Ramondre Stevenson came on last week.
But this is what makes the offense more dangerous. When Stevenson's back in, Pledger's your change of pace. So you have your space perimeter game that we saw right there when Lincoln Riley wants to attack the width of the field, and then you got the bruiser with Stevenson when you want to get downhill in the counter and power game.
Pledger can't get out of the backfield. TFL for Kansas. So 3rd down and 1.
See, this is where you get the big boy into the game and you line up and you know, sorry Kansas, we're just better than you are. I would be really surprised if they don't run the football here against Kansas up front and lean on this offensive line.
They'll throw. Rattler's got all day. Incomplete for Stockner, who's been his favorite 3rd down target. And 4th and 1, if you're Lincoln Riley, do you go for it?
I think that was the plan all along because that play call does not make sense if you're not planning on going for it on 4th down. You're better up front than Kansas is. You're deeper, you're more physical, you're more talented, and you've got a running back that can get you 3 feet. 3 feet is what we're talking about right here, so had to have been 4-down territory.
Split backs out of the shotgun. It's Hall and Pledger. And the give is to Pledger, and he's got enough for a first down. Kansas today missing 2 starters on its defensive line, Dejon Terry and Marcus Harris, who's been playing better than anybody on that D-line for Les Miles.
And they're young, but happen to be their 2 best players. And so it really puts a dent in your depth and your talent level. And I'm a little bit concerned about Ramondre Stevenson. We have not seen him on this drive. You had 2 short yardage situations. He was not in the game. Going to have to keep tabs on that.
Look at the time for Rattler. Flag is down, and that's caught by Drake Stoops. Yes, Carroll's son with a big game, but there is a flag.
Holding.
Yeah.
Offense number 59. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That's Adrian Ely there, and you'll see it. It's going to be on the top of your screen. He's going to be right at the top there, and watch Ely pull down and then lay down on him. And that's not the issue. Is your hands are on the outside. If his hands are on the inside, you might be able to get away with that one. That's why hand placement in the offensive line is so critical. And listen, Kansas needs these types of breaks. You know, you need a penalty when they get an explosive play. That's what's going to keep the score down. It's going to keep you in the game.
Kansas at 0-6. One of two Power 5 programs winless that have played at least 4 games. The other, Vandy. Marvin Mims, the true freshman who has become the top receiver on this Oklahoma team. And he is a budding star in the Big 12.
He is a faster Ryan Broyles. He is the guy that can not only take the top off the defense, but can catch the 5-yard route and turn it into 15, 30, 70. And he's just scratching the surface. He's going to be a special player, a really explosive element to this offense.
Pledger has the first down, brought down by Nick Channel, who had 8 tackles last week against Iowa State.
You know, and talking to Lincoln Riley in this prior to this matchup, you know, he talked about we want to get into the red area and run through people. I'm surprised they've thrown it as much as they have.
They throw it again. Theo Weiss coming off his first 100-yard gain.
Theo Weiss, Anish, is one of those players that's not going to wow you with speed and flashiness, but he might be the one receiver that Spencer Rattler can rely upon and trust the most because he's where he's supposed to be. He catches everything, and he makes critical plays on important downs, as we see Ramondre Stevenson finally coming back into the ballgame. It's the first time we've seen him on this drive.
He is made for these yardage situations. Rattler will throw. Floats it downfield. Incomplete. Wanted Weiss. In coverage, Karan Prunty, who this Kansas staff thinks is going to be a star.
He is number 9. Just really makes a play to contest it. But I jinxed Weiss here because these are the types of plays that Spencer Rattler has become accustomed to trusting that Weiss will come down with. Prunty, to your point, part of the youth movement here at Kansas. There are 2 classes, the freshman and sophomore and freshman and redshirt freshman class that Les Miles and his staff have brought in that have some really good young players, and it starts with number 9 on defense.
Rattler again to the air. He's got Hall. Inside the red zone. Kansas's defense this season has allowed its opponents into the red zone 30 times, 29 scores, 21 touchdowns. And with Stevenson back now for Oklahoma, the Sooners become much more dangerous down here.
Well, they do. And I think the one thing that if you're Lincoln Riley and you impart on your young quarterback, who hasn't played the way Kyler Murray had or Jalen Hurts or Baker Mayfield, is you got to have situational awareness in the red zone. Be careful with the football.
Weiss in motion. Stevenson stiff-arming his way into the end zone for 6.
Nice little jump cut through the hole there on the counter play and the stiff arm to follow. And then lower the shoulder and lead to pass the pylon. Stevenson just brings a different element to Oklahoma. You literally, when he's in the game, you don't see any elements of the air raid. This is where Lincoln Riley, I think, has completely transitioned and evolved as a football coach.
And a lot of the coaches from the air raid tree.
Plus territory, we just really want to take the air out of your gut.
Got a big one between Georgia and Florida. 1st and 10 Kansas from the 25. Daniels will run. Got a couple, 2nd down.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I love the early down quarterback run selection because I just think it puts more strain on Oklahoma to always have to be aware that we've got to have a guy that has to account for the quarterback. We can't ignore the quarterback's legs, and you're just keeping Oklahoma occupied when you make those choices.
Daniels to throw, it's tipped again, and it's caught by Grimm off the tip. Third tipped ball by this Oklahoma defense. Right place, right time for the freshman Luke Grimm.
This is an RPO that ends up getting tipped. The attempt is to the slant route. The run pass option, it was a good decision by Daniels, but he's not very tall. The ball gets tipped, and Luke Grimm to the rescue.
It's not how you got there, it's whether you got the right answer.
That's right.
Highshaw lunges ahead for 2. Luke Grimm last week, 5 catches, part of that freshman nucleus that Les Miles in Kansas wants to build upon. One of the things they did in recruiting, they did not take any transfers, any junior college players. They said, we're going to build this with freshmen. We're going to look long, no quick fixes to hopefully get Kansas to a point where they can be competitive in the Big 12. 1 quarter in the books in Norman, Oklahoma on a 3-game win streak. Defense came up with a couple of picks. Ramondre Stevenson a touchdown. Stogner had a touchdown. Sooners up 14-0. Les Miles has a young roster, 37 freshmen, including an 18-year-old quarterback. And Jalen Daniels taken down again. Flag is down at the end of the play.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 14, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Reggie Grimes gets called.
Sure. Reggie Grimes, a true freshman, a former 5-star player, an Under Armour All-American, and has an opportunity as a pass rusher and just gets the hand up high and pulls the face mask down. A great learning opportunity for him. They're really excited about the upside. And again, we talk about that length they're looking for. 6'4", 265 pounds. He's a true freshman. Oklahoma is changing the face of their defense by body type.
Bonito with the hit on Daniels. Going downfield, incomplete. Coverage by Brown. Do you worry at all about Jalen Daniels and his confidence, given that he's taking a lot of hits? The offensive line has not been very good, and he's a young quarterback, as bright as the future could be. Do you worry about long-term damage too?
Well, you kind of have to, but you got to encourage with this guy. You got to encourage him. You got to pat him on the back, pat him on the butt. Make sure that he knows you're behind him so that his body language doesn't tell the story.
Bonito again getting after Daniels, incomplete. Oh, they never blew it dead. Oklahoma's got it. And Turner Yell takes it all the way deep
on the field
into Kansas territory.
By the defense, first down.
Let's get a closer look as Bonito, number 11, who's really been their playmaker off the edge in their pressure package. You see him really just work past the blocks. Yeah, he knows the pressure's coming. Bonito runs right. That's that.
After further review, the ruling was that it was an intentional correction. The ruling was an incomplete pass. However, we have intentional grounding. Offense number 17. It'll be a loss of down, third down.
It wasn't just that it was an incomplete pass. It was what else needed to be tacked on.
3rd and 21, a 4-man rush. Daniels again like a feather in a vortex. And he throws it away. Another flag down. Still 14:31 to go in the second quarter. It's the longest 30 seconds in the history of college football.
Foul. Face mask. Offense number 61. That penalty declined. Brings up fourth down.
So now 4th down and long for Kansas. The intentional grounding cost them a down. Another penalty on Malik Clark, the senior left tackle.
And team to receive for the Sooners is number 17, Marvin Mills.
Vernon to punt. And this one lands out of bounds. Oklahoma ball. 14:23 left. Or Iowa State lose twice and the Sooners win out.
The Sooners are in.
Sooners are in the Big 12 title game. Ramondre Stevenson brings it in with one hand and Amtrak's his way to the 40-yard line. We're looking at the Big 12 standings. K-State and Iowa State both 4-1. Oklahoma, after a bye next week, will host Oklahoma State. Bedlam in Norman this year. And I'll tell you what, if you look at the remaining schedules for Iowa State and Kansas State, both still have to play Texas. Both play each other. This one is tipped, incomplete.
Pass is incomplete.
Not really out of the realm of possibility for Oklahoma to be one of the top two teams. In fact, I'd be surprised if it doesn't happen.
I would actually be surprised as well. And we know with the Big 12, anything can happen on any week. And there's always going to be a surprise. Somebody's going to go out and have a great day. Somebody's going to have a subpar day. But this Oklahoma team coming into this game and going into their bye next week, you could make an argument it's played as good a football and better football than some of the teams in the top 10.
Down the middle of the field, incomplete for Stogner, 3rd and 10.
Intended for Austin Stogner.
They just seem a little bit out of sync on offense today. What do you attribute that to?
I think they've tried to throw it too often and too early on early downs when the offensive line and the running back position has this tremendous strength and has really set the tone the previous 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, and they seem to want to come out and throw it versus a team that they clearly can own up front. And by the way, Kansas down 2 starters in their defensive front 4.
Pledger in the backfield on 3rd down. Pressure coming. Rattler's hit and throws it away, and this Kansas defense comes up with a stop.
Hey, listen, Kansas, they decide just to rush 3-4 late. 37 comes up through the B gap right there, and Hayden Hatcher forces Rattler out of the pocket, and then he gets popped right in the chest plate. And credit to Kansas defense, hanging in there, covering down. Anish, I think that's the thing. If you're Kansas, there's one thing you can't do, and that's give away explosives.
Now this punt lands out of bounds. Another update from the studio. All right, thank you, Matt. 21-14 Georgia on top. Oklahoma leading 14-0 in a game that, again, is still reasonably close despite Kansas being a big underdog. Can the Jayhawks put together some kind of an offensive drive? Got inside Oklahoma territory last time, but it stalled due to a penalty and negative plays. That's Parchment. Down to Chris.
To what Luke's was saying about Daniels needing some support from the guys around them, you see that on the sidelines. Daniels is kind of a guy that internalizes it, keeps his head down, kind of shouts to himself, but he's seen his fellow freshmen, Daniel Highshaw, Luke Grimm. Those are the guys that have been trying to keep his head up, that freshman class.
Highshaw lassoed down by Perkins.
Yeah, and Chris, there's a lot of promise to be had. I remember contacting you guys on the crew early this week saying, I can't believe I'm saying this, but some of these young players in the first 2 recruiting classes for Les Miles are pretty good, including this young quarterback. He does some pretty cool things, and you can tell he's got talent. I mean, this was a blue shirt. That means you're recruited, but you can't take a visit. You can't have contact on or off campus. You essentially are a walk-on, and you go on aid the moment you step on campus. So he wasn't even on scholarship till he got here in August.
Rushing 4, and Daniels engulfed. Brendan Walker with the sack.
Kansas's issues will continue until they can recruit to the offensive line, and it's a long-haul recruiting process. They need to flood this team with linemen because they can get skill. They've proven they can get skill. A Puka Williams, a Parchment, We're seeing Luke Grimm as a true freshman. They've got some other freshmen they like. But even Khalil Herbert, when he was there, he's now at Virginia Tech. It's the front that will determine the fate of this offense going forward.
A run here on 3rd and 19. And Highshaw gets to the 40. It'll be 4th down. Kansas to punt again. David Agwebu on the stop for Oklahoma.
Agwebu, another one of those guys, 6'4", 251 pounds. Played a year ago in a reserve role as a pass rusher. Now he's playing at middle linebacker, and he's in some of their pressure packages, but again, fits the mold of that new body type that Oklahoma's pursuing on defense. That's what's going to win you a college football playoff game if you're Oklahoma. You've got to be able to match up in the trenches, and that's what they're trying to get to.
This one rolls out of bounds near the 20. That's where Oklahoma will begin. Anish Shroff, Tom Luganbill, Chris Budden with you on this Saturday afternoon. Oklahoma, 1st and 10. That's Ramondre Stevenson. First guy, can never bring him down. He averaged better than 8 yards a carry last year, which was tops in the nation among backs with at least 50 carries.
He just brings that Samaje Perine element to the offense. And you look at the play selection, and I was really glad to see Lincoln Riley run the football on 1st down there. You're better than they are. In fact, you're not a little better than they are. You're supremely better than they are. So run it until they prove that you can't.
Play action. This time Rattler's got all day. And he's got the 6'6" Stogner. That's Colossus in cleats. What a target for Spencer Rattler.
Hey, credit Kansas. A week ago on this exact same arching over route, a lot of teams call it the orbit route, that guy was running wide open last week versus Texas Tech. At least Kansas had it covered. This is a great throw, thrown in a terrific spot for a big tight end and a big weapon that can use his body to shield the defender.
Jalen Daniels on the other sideline is watching Rattler with all that time thinking, man, one day I'm going to have forever and a day to throw.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, he's got to be jealous with what he's seeing. But I'll tell you, Jalen Daniels has got to be pretty proud of this Kansas defense. To this point, they've been hanging in there.
Another run on 1st down. Here's Stevenson. Shakes the tackle. And then bullies his way for a 1st down. Runs like a meteor.
He's got great feet for a big back. And I think when you have feet like that and you're nimble in a short area of space, you avoid the direct hit, and then you can get forward with momentum. That was actually a play that probably should have been tackled for a 1 to 2 yard gain. Instead, it's an 11-yard gain.
5 carries, 45 yards for Stevenson. 2nd game back from a suspension. Pledger in to give the senior out of Las Vegas a breather. Early in the year, it was Pledger, Marcus Major, Seth McGowan splitting the running back duties. And looks like we got a flag or a whistle.
Timeout. Oklahoma.
Oklahoma got the
First and a
timeout
half.
before the play clock expired. ESPN College Football presented by Tide. And right now, Oklahoma rolling 14-0. Sooners on the move inside the Kansas 30. Spencer Rattler, 8 out of 14, 127 yards, a touchdown, and an interception so far. Kansas showing blitz. Here it comes. Tunnel screen, Weiss. All the way down to the 12-yard line, another 1st down, and a red zone chance for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and Kansas showed their hand there, unfortunately, and in doing so, allowed Spencer Rattler to know that off of the token fake, he was going to have to get the ball out quickly because he knew he was going to have a free rusher off the edge that was unblocked. He's responsible for that player.
Good protection. Rattler looking for 6, flag down.
That's intended for Jadon Hazelwood, #1 ranked receiver coming out of the 2019 class, played as a freshman a year ago. He's been injured, suffering an ACL during the offseason. Not expected to see him play today. Good to get him back on the field.
Yeah, it was a surprise to see him on the field today.
Yeah, we were not expecting to see him. He's got such a high ceiling for being a premier player, and a lot of people are hoping he becomes the next CeeDee Lamb.
Pass interference. Defense number 19. Ball we placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
First appearance of the season for the sophomore.
Got to run it right here. This is where Lincoln Riley loves to impose his will.
Well, that is a run technically, and Rattler makes it a 3-score game.
Again, I'm surprised. However, this is a design because your quarterback's athletic, and you're telling your quarterback, right, here's your route concept. We're going to move the pocket and get you out there. If you don't like it and they cover down, take off and run, and then you love to see him lower the shoulder there at the end and get him in the end zone. You know, I just think that level of toughness and willingness, it reverberates with your football team. Yep. You gain and earn respect when you're willing to lower the shoulder and fight for the extra yard to get in the end zone.
21 zip after the PAT. The Pac-12.
Important, especially with young quarterbacks.
Logan will run this out. Caught from behind, shy of the 20. Matt.
Nobody can figure out who to match up on him and how to stop him.
Daniels will keep this and slides down just shy of the 25. Second down. Jalen Daniels can run it a little bit. You mentioned the big arm. But you got to remember, this kid turned 18 last week. I mean, he was barely able to vote.
I know it. And again, arrived in Kansas. He arrives the first day. They put him on scholarship. Really wasn't able to be recruited. And now he's the leader of this football team and the foundation for their future.
Started 3 games at the age of 17. Not as good of a year for him as it was for Sinatra.
No, it wasn't. That's exactly right. You know, I watch a young guy like this. It's got talent and a live arm, and he's a good athlete. And then you compare him to some other freshmen that we've seen play in college football, whether it was a Tua or a Trevor Lawrence or, you know, even a Justin Fields as a young sophomore a year ago. The difference is the people that are around you. Makes all the difference in the world, and Kansas isn't there yet.
Third down and 4. Kansas today 1 of 7 on third down. Make it 1 of 8. Lassiter could not get far enough. Fourth down.
That's on Lassiter, because when you have a third line to gain, you have to get the line to gain plus 1 or 2 on your route. You can't run the route under the line to gain. It was a good, accurate throw. This is an opportunity for your skill guys, Anish, to help make a play for you.
And then he turns the wrong way, too.
You're a yard short. You can't do it.
Well, what do you make of this? Going for it?
I'm surprised by it, but what do you got to lose, right?
0-6. 52 straight losses in true Big 12 road games. Daniels upended, and he's going to be short. Gave it all he had. Oklahoma's defense comes through, and the Sooners now work with a short field.
You know, I don't mind the play call of speed option there.
He's short on the line of the game.
And
first down.
Oklahoma stretched it out. But what Jalen Daniels has to do here is he's got to attack the end man on the line of scrimmage and force somebody to take him. So if they take him, he pitches. See how he goes parallel? If he attacks the line of scrimmage, he might have been able to pitch that prior to 23 for Oklahoma on defense, coming up and forcing the issue. That was Deshaun White from his linebacker position, 35, ended up making the tackle.
And Shane Witter finishing Daniels off. So Oklahoma will begin inside the Kansas 30.
Listen, I know this is Kansas and where they are offensively right now as a program, but this is a different Oklahoma defense. This is a different group of athletes that play with a different level of pride than we've seen before. You know, there's pride in tackling. There's pride in not giving up the explosive play.
Pleasure on first down with an opening and a gain of 11. For Oklahoma right now, where the program is, the bar and the standard is Clemson and Alabama. For the rest of the Big 12, it's Oklahoma.
Absolutely. And it's Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley's job to keep it that way, and they can still attain some of their goals.
Rattler looking for 6, incomplete. He wanted Charleston Rambo, and he seems to be wincing.
Sure is.
Holding that left hip. And he's coming off the field, and this is something to watch for Oklahoma.
So Oklahoma, prior to Spencer Rattler, pointing to his left hip and coming to the sideline, he's going to get looked at by their training staff. Oklahoma just gets 11 yards on the ground on first down and turns around and throws the football. And it's kind of baffling to me. It doesn't look like anything. Well, it does. He tweaked himself. Chris, he looked like he tweaked himself just on the throw there.
No, it was actually on the touchdown run on the possession before that. He came off the field and was pointing at his left hip. He was talking to the training staff, didn't receive any treatment, was walking up and down the sideline, said he was okay to go for this last series.
So Tanner Mordecai in, the give is to Pledger. Here's the touchdown run. Lowers that shoulder, takes a shot right to the left hip.
Right to the hip there, but you could tell on that last play when he was in the game, he may have heard it on that run, but he agitated it when he had to transfer his weight to make that throw downfield on the attempt in the end zone.
So Mordecai, who was the primary backup to Jalen Hurts last year, now in 3rd and 9. Pressure coming, Mordecai sacked by Kyron Johnson.
Coming off the edge to his right side. Number one, he should have seen it or at least felt it. And again, when you're in pass protection, if there's going to be a free rusher, you want that rusher to come from as far away from you as possible. Oklahoma got that right, but the quarterback's got to acknowledge it and account for that player.
DJ Elliott, Kansas's defensive coordinator, told us in the red zone he likes to bring pressure and to take chances. Field goal attempt by Burkich. The kick is good. Oklahoma tacks on 3, but Spencer Rattler's status now of utmost concern. Watch what happens on this touchdown run. Takes a shot to the left hip. Then when he throws here, holding that left hip again, has to come out of the game, goes to the sideline. They wrapped him up a little bit.
See that right there, Anish? There's no hip pads. Spencer Rattler has chosen to not wear hip pads. And, oftentimes you have, a girdle or something where you protect both hips and a tailbone pad as well. A lot of guys now opt not to wear them, and then, you subject yourself to injury.
And that becomes the storyline now for Oklahoma fans. Sky kick, and they cover it up.
Game going. You don't need Spencer Rattler to win this game. Understand, too, Oklahoma has a bye week coming up. So they've got to think long-term. To your point, Anish.
Offense number 34, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
To your point, Anish, there is still a path for Oklahoma to get to the Big 12 championship game. Kansas State, Iowa State both lose twice. Spencer Rattler, as we see him trying to warm up, if Oklahoma wins out, they're in. And so you've got to be thinking that way when you're finishing out this game in the second half.
Luke Grimm, it'll bring up 3rd and long. Bedlam in 2 weeks.
Yep.
That's really the game.
At
You lose
home.
that game. If you lose that game, the path to the Big 12 championship becomes almost impossible.
Watching him right here, Anish, and you can see the ball comes out of his hand. Watch his facial expressions. He knows. He knows he can't unleash it. He knows more torque, and the more he transfers his weight, the more strain and pain he's in.
I just don't see any reason to risk it. Incomplete. 3 and out goes Kansas. Rattler trying to walk up and down that sideline, shaking his head. Now this is now not just the subplot, this is the main plot.
Sure it is. And in comparison to what we're seeing across the landscape of college football, we've seen what happened to Wisconsin with COVID and Graham Mertz being out. Wisconsin season's essentially destroyed. Now you're looking at Oklahoma, a resurgent Oklahoma team over the last 2.5 weeks. Quarterback's playing out of his mind.
Line drive kick by Vernon. Mims will field it. And Oklahoma will start inside its 45.
You strain to get the ball. Does he open up to his left, or does he have to open up to his right in the run game?
Handoff, Stevenson. Takes it to the outside, and Johnson forces him out of bounds.
I think if you're Lincoln Riley here, do the math. What's 4 plus 4, Anish?
8.
What's another 4?
12.
How many does it take to get a first down?
I was told there would be no math. Come on.
It takes 10 to get a first down, man. And you guys, you're Oklahoma. Line up, hand it off, and go.
Now they'll throw. And Rattler floats one over the middle. He's got Stogner for a first down. Penalty marker down, and Rattler again holding that left hip.
Watch him at the end of the throw. He couldn't finish the follow-through of the throw because he can't transfer his weight from his back leg.
Defense number 98.
To his front leg. See that?
Decline. Result of the play, first down.
Which screams you got to get him out of there right now.
You got to get him out of there because accuracy and arm power is going to come from the ground up, not the other way around. So when he's trying to plant off that back leg and drive the ball forward, he needs to transfer that weight from his back leg, which is his right foot, to his left leg, which is the injured leg, and he's not able to do it. Lincoln Riley not happy with.
And you can see him wincing and grimacing under the helmet. Stevenson has a little momentum and leapfrogs out of bounds.
Do you want to
picks up the first down?
Do you want to do math again?
Fine.
Okay. Just saying. 4 plus 4 plus 4. That time it was 11.
Yeah.
It just surprises me so much because Lincoln Riley takes such pride in their run game and being physical and overwhelming people. And he takes pride in doing that to teams that are really good on defense or that have the ability to be good on defense. And he's throwing it like crazy today.
They'll throw it again, and incomplete for Mikey Henderson. And now listen, this is surprising because Lincoln Riley is one of the best play callers in all of college football. And right now, Spencer Rattler clearly isn't right.
Well, this isn't a play calling decision. You know, it doesn't matter what you call if you can't function physically. The thing that's interesting is
I guess I'm trying to figure out why. Why would he still be in there?
Either two things. Either they're going to run an offense that they feel like he can make the throws, and number two, the training staff told Lincoln Riley he cannot hurt himself worse. He's either going to have to deal with the pain and play through it, and if he becomes so ineffective as a result, then they'll pull him out, but he can't hurt himself further.
On the reverse, it's Mims. First down and more. And taken out of bounds at the 4-yard line. First and goal, Oklahoma.
Now, this is a play that is a reverse that is set up to have who is the lead blocker?
Rattler.
The quarterback. Now, watch him. He gets into space. He might score or at least give Mims the opportunity to cut back. If he can engage a Kansas defender, he can't. That was a light jog, and he was grimacing, Anish.
It's almost painful to watch.
It is.
Pledger up the gut, touchdown Oklahoma. What you worry about, Tom, is if he doesn't have the mobility that he's used to, and they have continued to throw it, what if he takes another hit? What if being limited right now creates a scenario where there's another injury that could happen?
Absolutely.
Because he's not playing at 100%.
That starting at halftime, Spencer Rattler gets into the training room.
Logan from the 2. Took a kickback against Iowa State last week. And brings this one out to the 40. You got Kansas, who's 0-6. Oklahoma's won 15 in a row against the Jayhawks. Now the last thing you want is to have a major injury in a game like this that you're supposed to win easily. Parchment papers across the 45, a few yards shy of the first down.
I think, as Kansas tries to close out this half, and you look at Oklahoma on offense, it's a great opportunity for Lincoln Riley to give Tanner Mordecai the keys to the offense and see what he does. Find out more.
Blitz coming. Incomplete for Grimm. And again, we don't know how serious this injury to Rattler will be.
No.
Maybe it's just a slight bruise.
We know he can't function.
Right now he doesn't look good. No, right now he doesn't look good. But with Bedlam coming up in 2 weeks and having a bye, those game reps for Mordecai are going to be huge.
Absolutely huge. And not just game reps, but game reps where you're giving him the offense. You're not saying, okay, well, we're just going to limit some things here because you haven't played much. Let him go.
Here is Parchment. And Kansas in Oklahoma territory. They've only run 2 plays in Sooner territory. Now, that's something that I've noticed this year is you see Stogner trying to walk something off. That would be a big loss, too. You get into blowout scenarios in the age of COVID. I understand teams trying to run up the score because they're trying to rep their second and third string guys because in this day and age,
you don't know.
You don't know when you're going to need them. You may find out the Friday before a game, you're going to need those guys to play major snaps.
Friday. Might find out Saturday morning.
Daniels downfield. He's got Grimm. And a rare red zone opportunity for Kansas.
Well, and an opportunity for Jalen Daniels, who's, literally should be getting hazard pay, to have something good happen for him. Have something positive within the offense. Generate a little bit of confidence. He's constantly ducking and diving and trying to find ways just to avoid negative plays.
Only the 12th time in the red zone this season. Daniels chased, sacked. Bonito.
Now you got Bonito coming up, ailing just a little bit. It's been such a force for them in some of their pass rush packages. He can line up on either side in a variety of roles. And
First of the half, 30 seconds in length.
He seems to be dinged. That sick mustache that we saw.
2nd and 14, Kansas with 2 timeouts. Daniels. Oklahoma employing the spy. Daniels fluttering in the backfield, and he is sacked once again. Ellison that time. There is a flag down.
Holding. Offense number 61. 10-yard penalty. Still second down.
It's been a tough day for Malik Clark. You're going to look here and you're going to see a 4-man rush. Really, really active. Really a 3-man rush and a spy because number 40 right there, it's John Michael Terry. He's just keying Jalen Daniels and saying, all right, where you go, I go.
Timeout. Kansas. Their second of the half. 30 seconds in length.
Daniels on 3rd down has Grimm. And those are 2 building blocks for Kansas. It'll bring up 4th and long. Clock continues to tick. Is Kansas going to use a timeout here? They've got to. Looks like they're going to let it run down. And now a 37-yard attempt by Borchilla. And a movement up front.
Offside. Defense number 8. Contact in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
So this makes it a little easier, and Borchilla took the practice kick, hooked it.
That was on Perion Winfrey. They're starting to defensive tackle. Big number 8 in the middle of the screen there. He is a load, and actually one of the top junior college players coming out of last year's class. He's made an immediate impact on the defensive side of the football, but an error there in the kicking game.
Donovan Gagan to hold. Logan Klussman to snap. And Borchilla good from 32. Kansas on the board. But the concern for Oklahoma, the status of their stud quarterback, Spencer Rattler, injuring his left hip in the half. Let's see if he comes out for the second half. Matt Barry now in the studio to the kick. Down to Chris.
Series.
He'll come out throwing. He's got Drake Stoops for a first down. Crowd not booing, saying Stoops.
Little play fake, token fake in the backfield that quickly gets rid of it. You see him, you can tell, because when he tries to step forward with his left foot and drive back off of his right foot, there's just no follow through, there's no power. So right now he's a quarterback that's throwing all arm. And it's a fine arm at that, I'll give him that.
Yeah. Ramondre Stevenson taken down after a short gain. Jerome Robinson with the stop. We'll see if he's on some kind of a pitch count or it's a series, maybe 2.
You know, maybe come out if you have a series and we go down and we score and we make it 38-3 and we sit you down on the sideline next to me. Let's see if he can do it and look comfortable at least.
Stevenson on the check down. And he's got a first down and more, tiptoeing that sideline. And in Kansas territory, Ramondre Stevenson, second game back from a suspension that stemmed from the Peach Bowl last year for a failed drug test. What has he brought to this Oklahoma offense?
Physicality, power. I think he brings a demeanor that they're lacking without him. TJ Pledger is a really good change of pace back, a little bit more of a perimeter runner. But as we've also seen throughout the first half and on that play right there, really good ball skills in the passing game.
3 catches for Stevenson. Blitz. Weiss. And spun down inside of the 45-yard line.
You know, one of the things, Anish, that makes Spencer Rattler unique and, you know, potentially special one day is his ability to get rid of the ball when his feet aren't perfect, you know, when he's off platform, and still have power and follow through and see that ball finish. We're not seeing that now. Right now, everything's a flick of the wrist because he doesn't have anything else to generate power from his lower body.
A Rattler moving the pocket. Ball is tipped, and off the tip, Stoops able to come up with the first down catch.
Just a great effort there on behalf of Stoops after that ball gets tipped, but just to go get the football, that's a big deal. You see Spencer struggling to get through it. They got the backside block. See how, you know, he's not moving very fast on the perimeter there. I think it would have been a completion if it hadn't have been tipped, but great effort by Stoops. But he's not moving to his normal speed.
Still 4 of 4, 36 yards on this drive. Ramondre Stevenson, B-Button's out of trouble. And inside the 35. Oklahoma's got its medical personnel and doctors on the sideline.
Sure.
They looked at him, I'm sure, in the locker room at halftime. So if they feel he's good enough to start this second half, sure, okay, he may be healthy enough to play. The question I have is, 1, the score, and 2, the opponent.
Correct. And again, when you're making that decision as a medical staff, the question is asked, can he be injured further by continuing to play? And if the answer is no, then obviously you want your best players on the field, but you want your best players to perform at a premium level. And that's really the question that we got to see answered here in the second half.
He's got time. And incomplete in the direction of Rambo. There is Karan Prunty in coverage, the freshman corner who Kansas really likes. A bye for Oklahoma after this game. Then Bedlam. That game will be in Norman, at West Virginia and Baylor. And as we told you earlier, if Oklahoma runs the table, they've got a great shot to get into the Big 12 championship. They need a little help. They'll need Kansas State or Iowa State to lose twice.
Right.
But if they take care of business and that happens, they'll be one of the top 2 teams.
Well, they've gotten hot at the right time. As we go down the stretch here, they're starting to play their best football. And that's why it's so important that number 7 remain upright.
Yeah. Incomplete at the feet of Stoops, 4th down.
Actually very fortunate that ball went into the dirt because he was covered. Now, just watch him try to throw this ball. He can't bring his right leg forward. You see that? And it just hinders his ability to finish on the throw. And he's telling Lincoln Riley that right now. I try to drive off my back foot, and I can't carry through, see?
Burkich for the field goal, a 50-yarder. His career-long 51 earlier this year against Iowa State. And he drills it.
Push us, Anish.
That'll be the question going forward, and certainly a story in the bye week. Logan taken down at the 20.
Front, they've really come on the last 2 weeks, and Kansas is just outmanned in their offensive line, and Oklahoma's been eating them alive here in the first half.
And it looked like Parchment broke early.
False start. Offense number 4. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
This series has been dominated by Oklahoma, no surprise. The Sooners have won 15 in a row against Kansas. Average margin of victory in those games, almost 30 points. Kansas in that stretch has only scored more than 20 twice. Highshaw from Moore, Oklahoma, not far from Norman. And that's Stogner walking into the locker room. Another bad sign for Oklahoma. That's their big 3rd down target. That H-back who's been so productive for them this season.
Yeah, he's a critical component to the success of their offense and can play in so many roles, particularly in the passing game.
We saw him in the first half pacing the sideline, trying to get loose. Daniels on the move, chased by Perkins. 3rd and long, and that's been the story of the afternoon for Kansas.
Yeah, lack of success on 1st and 2nd down. Whether it's been run to pass, it just puts you in such a advantageous position because now Oklahoma knows what's coming. They don't have to play the run, and if they do, they can react late and still have an advantage.
Benito in the backfield chasing Daniels. And it's dropped by Grimm.
That's just a bust in protection for Kansas.
Now Rattler shaking his head on the sideline. And now the helmet is off. He's telling everybody.
Can't transfer the weight, man. Can't get the ball out with some power.
Vernon to punt. Almost blocked. Mims, the fair catch, just shy of midfield.
One heck of a run in college football.
15 straight losses for Kansas still then. Rattler back in there. He's going to throw downfield. Incomplete for Weiss. Down to Chris.
Rattler has done everything he can to try and work out that left hip. He was on the bike. You guys showed him. He was trying to kind of move up and down the sidelines. At one point, he was talking across the field to people in the stands and pointing to his hip saying, I can't. I have seen nothing that would lead me to believe that Tanner Mordecai would come in. No one has spoken to him. He's not been warming up or involved in the huddles.
Thank you, Chris. I totally agree. We caught that shot of him, mouthing to the crowd across the field of, where he was at physically.
Oh, this has been a good play. Every time Stevenson touches it, good things happen, and he's close to the marker.
To perform for you, wouldn't you love a half of football from him to ensure that you feel confident that he can run the entire offense?
Again to the air. Stevenson with a first down and rumbles inside the 30-yard line. 4 catches now for Ramondre Stevenson.
You know who he reminds me of? Do you remember Alabama running back Eddie Lacy?
Oh, yeah.
The big-bodied fullback look, but moves like a tailback. He's got such nimble feet.
Injured Kansas player down. Rattler in there, parents Mike and Susan watching. Mike with the visor, Susan on the far right with the blonde hair. 1st and 10, Oklahoma in Kansas territory. And incomplete, thrown a little behind the intended target.
It's good to see Hazelwood out there. See him healthy enough to get back on the field. He's just got such upside to be a great player.
And that is, again, part of the reinforcements for Oklahoma.
Sure.
If he can help down the stretch, especially with Charleston Rambo having a down season, you got Perkins back, you got Stevenson back. The offensive line has played a lot better.
And Marvin Mims is an emerging star in this offense at the wide receiver position.
Hazelwood lined up in the slot, bottom of your screen. Stevenson makes a house call. North of 100 yards rushing, and the Sooners continue to pile on.
That power game that we talk about in the run, really nice job navigating the hole. And that is one explosive, powerful back. He just adds a dimension to the offense that they don't have without him.
Remember, Oklahoma lost so much at that position in the offseason. Obviously, Stevenson was suspended to begin the year. Trey Sermon transferred out. Kennedy Brooks opted out.
Yep.
Down to Chris.
Position to be successful under, circumstances that are not ideal.
Unprecedented circumstances, really. Logan spun down shy of the 20. From the 18. Little pitch and catch to Lassiter. And out of bounds after picking up a first down. Kwame Lassiter, 5th-year senior, really has had a breakout season in his final year with the Jayhawks.
Yeah, he and, Luke Grimm, the true freshman they started playing really a week ago, have kind of been their space guys. The question is, how do you get the ball into their hands consistently enough with the troubles they're having up front?
Highshaw up the middle has an opening. And Turner Yell able to catch him from behind and drive him out. That's got to feel good for Daniel Highshaw, local product.
This is one of those
8 yards, Luke.
Yeah, this is one of those young players we've talked about with Kansas that could be foundational type players that All right, not a lot of juniors and seniors on this team, but some young guys that they're forced to play a lot of football now that may pay off in the next 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years.
No Velton Gardner today, Kansas's leading rusher. Oklahoma brings pressure, and Perkins takes down Daniels back at the 30. Arani Perkins did not miss a beat. Came back from the suspension last week, made a couple of plays in the backfield, and he's done that again today.
Well, again, when you have Nick Benito, number 11, who we've seen made a ton of plays. Well, for the last couple of weeks, outside of last week, you didn't have somebody opposite, outside of Isaiah Thomas, 95, who's really come on. That's when Ronnie Perkins is on the field. Now you've got some real problems in your pass protection because this is a really active group up front. And you've got to defend both edges.
In traffic and hauled in. Norwood with the stop. Another catch by Grimm. And you're starting to see the future of Kansas, Daniels and Grimm. Tanner Mordecai getting loose for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and when you see Tanner Mordecai and when he comes into this football game, which I hope he does on this next drive, and it looks like he may. Spencer Rabbit has hung the helmet up. I think Lincoln Riley needs to let Tanner Mordecai run the entire offense. So run it as if you're 0-0. You don't know when you may need him down the road.
Edge pressure, Daniels up the middle. Got a block by Highshaw, and he slides down for a first down for KU.
One thing the youngsters learn how to do is slide and get down and protect yourself.
Red zone trips have been few and far between for Kansas this season. Entering play, only 11 times inside the 20 in the first 6 games.
And this is 13 now. They've had 2 today, this being the second one. Let's see if they can capitalize.
Daniels looking for his first career touchdown pass. Chased by Winfrey. He's hit. Didn't have much on it. Incomplete for Parchment. He's a tough kid, man. He has taken some hits as the Kansas quarterback the last few weeks.
He really has. You see Deshaun White, Perrion Winfrey, number 8, just barreling down and fortunate to get the ball out. Still has not thrown a touchdown pass this season. Again, not a lot of opportunities once you're in the red zone because they haven't had many, and then really haven't been any explosive plays in the passing game to score from afar.
Highshaw broke the initial tackle. He's to the 10. Kansas quarterbacks this season, 3 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions. They have not had a 300-yard passer. They have not had a 100-yard rusher, and have not had a 100-yard wide receiver in a game.
Makes it tough to score points, and they've, at times they've had struggles crossing the 50-yard line. And again, it all starts up front. Everything that Kansas is going to be predicated upon improvement in that area.
Need the 2 for a first down. And that one airmails Lassiter. So 4th and 10. Daniels looking to the sideline. Down 41-3. They'll go for it instead of adding on another field goal. Three-man pressure and a spy. And it's the spy, Bonito, who wraps up Daniels.
Oklahoma's done a really nice job of not only being gap sound, but being prepared for quarterback run, being prepared for when the quarterback is forced to leave the pocket and having somebody assigned. And that's just a good job by Bonito, who's had a huge day, constantly applying pressure and then executing his assignment really well against an athletic quarterback.
Today's powerful plays brought to you by Duracell.
Well, this Oklahoma offense, early on was making it look easy. And it's predicated upon the run game being so strong that the play action game allows the quarterback a lot of time, and that's the costly TD if you're Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler scores the touchdown, takes a shot on the hip.
Theo Howard on the toss from Tanner Mordecai. Into the game now as Spencer Rattler's day is done. Mordecai, a sophomore from Waco, backed up Jalen Hurts last year. Missed the majority of fall camp with an injury.
Yeah.
And if you go back, Lincoln Riley was saying all spring it was going to be a competition. Spencer Rattler was not handed the starting job.
Yeah, when Tanner went down, it really, threw it into Spencer Rattler's lap. And to his credit, he's taken the reins and run with it.
Mordecai will keep. And he's got nowhere to go, ambushed, and just gets back to the line of scrimmage. We were talking about this in the first half, and we've seen it in college football this year, because you never know when a positive test and contact tracing can knock out a number of your guys. Creating depth, repping your backups is so important. So you look at the score and you're saying, all right, why would Oklahoma throw the ball? But you want to get some of these other guys meaningful reps, because you never know when you could use them. And we've seen other teams do that. And it's not in 2020 unsportsmanlike.
No.
Or Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, depending on what team you are. And week to week, you're not sure who's going to be available, who you're going to have. There is so little you can control this season. And Luke, you know this, your dad's a coach.
Yeah.
They want to control everything.
Everything.
Mordecai's throw a little too high for Rambo. And Oklahoma will have to punt.
Talk about all the variables, and really what they are is they're distractions. Coaches hate distractions. They hate clutter. They hate outside noise. Well, now the noise is outside and inside.
Noise is the normal in 2020. Reeves Monichaw punts it away. Lassiter, fair catch inside the 30.
And as a result, they're a better overall football team.
There's a penalty flag before the play.
Not just offense in Oklahoma anymore.
False start. Offense number 55. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Armajay Adams-Reed, the guilty party, another true freshman on that offensive line. And we've talked about the size upgrades up front that we've seen from Oklahoma the last few years. The back end is where they want to get a little bit more size. It's still a work in progress, but they found a few pieces out there.
They have, especially number 0, Woody Washington.
Oh, yeah. And there's the pass rush again, and Daniels devoured back at the 12-yard line. It's Marcus Stripling leading the charge along with Agwebu.
The Agwebu, Stripling, and it's just a mismatch, folks. And unfortunately for Jalen Daniels, 8 sacks on the day. Benito's got 3 of them. And oftentimes, we're not seeing 5, 6-man pressures. We're seeing 3- and 4-man pressures. They're just flat better than Kansas up front.
What does this do to a young quarterback's confidence?
Oh, I think it can really crush it, because you start second guessing, you start seeing ghosts. Maybe you don't trust things the way you should.
Chris?
Well, OU defensive coordinator Alex Grinch really focuses on the turnovers, and they've had a bunch recently. He says, I'm embarrassed of all the things that we've had to do to try and get these guys to focus on turnovers. On Thursday, they watched film of all the NFL turnovers. He said, I've even got to the point where I give out candy bars. He's been doing that the last 2 years. So every time someone gets a turnover in practice, they get a king-size payday. I was supposed to bring some king-size payday for the hit, but I forgot, so I stole my kids' Halloween candy.
Snickers squares.
Listen, the kids have to learn how taxes work, right?
Yeah. Mom, dad tax, 10%.
You're going to live rent-free? Candy tax.
That's it. There's Alex Grinch right there, the defensive coordinator for Oklahoma, has done exactly what he was hired to do. All right, improve execution, improve disruptiveness, create turnovers, and I think improve their personnel.
Outside. Defense number 95. Lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
with a plan to get better looking players in terms of length and size.
Hang on, Chris. So
yes.
Now when you give out candy Halloween night, do you give out the little ones or the king size ones?
Well, the problem is when you got to take the kids around, you got to leave the bowl in the front. So honestly, I get the small ones because it takes one kid to empty out the whole bowl. I will say I do appreciate a Snickers over a payday.
Daniels, middle of the field, dangerous throw. 4th down. I got to be honest, I've never had a payday bar.
Ever? Really?
No.
See, I was going to ask Chris if you do what true professionals do, and that's take the Butterfingers and put them in the freezer.
That I don't know about.
What?
Oh, no, Kit Kats. Kit Kats and Twix.
In the freezer?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the freezer.
Okay.
That was also my pregnancy thing. Freezer's so good.
41-3 if you couldn't tell.
Just could tell you go. Oh,
by the way, Chris, that's a rowdy crowd behind you.
Vernon punts it away. And a fair catch is made inside the 45. But it just didn't look good from watching it.
No, it certainly didn't.
Mordecai over the middle has a wide open receiver, and it's Mikey Henderson. And this is what we were talking about early. Why are they throwing the ball again? You never know in this climate when those depth pieces will be needed. Run your offense.
We said that at the end of the second quarter. If you're going to put Tanner Mordecai in, let it rip. Let him go. Let him run the offense. I think Lincoln Riley's doing a nice job. It's not about running up the score.
No.
It's about preparing for the unknown, whether it's 2 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, what have you.
Henderson to the outside. And a nice run there by Mikey Henderson. Freshman from St. Louis.
He's kind of positionless. You know, he's a tailback that's built like an H-back. We just saw him out of the slot catch the ball down the seam, and then they turn it off and they hand it off to him, or turn around and hand it off to him out of the backfield. He's kind of a, Swiss Army knife, if you will.
Mordecai gets the play off. And a loss for Marcus Major, dropped in the backfield by Parker.
That's the end of the third quarter.
The Sooners defense has been everywhere, paying rent in the backfield. 8 sacks, couple of takeaways. Boomer, Oklahoma's rolling 41-3. Tanner Mordecai in the game, 2nd and 12, off play action. Mordecai back of the end zone. Mims, did he stay in? He sure did. And for Marvin Mims, that is his 7th receiving touchdown. He has now tied the Oklahoma freshman record.
He is going to be so exciting to watch. Number one, terrific throw. And then the tap to get the feet in bounds. Let's take a closer look. Make sure he did. Ball's caught. Okay, let's see here.
Caught. Looks like he got the feet. That's a touchdown.
I think that's a touchdown. Tremendous back line focus there from the freshman who's, well, when they start getting a healthy Jaden Hazelwood, this kid here, Mims, starts to get more and more comfortable with the run game they have, the way Spencer's playing. This offense has such a high ceiling. And if Kansas is going to attempt to do this through the high school ranks, which I think is smart, then that's not going to happen overnight.
Kyle Pearson on the return. And we check in with Matt Berry. This is where we really lost things. We had the first 30 seconds of the quarter took about 30 minutes as Highshaw runs for a short gain.
I do not find Matt Berry amusing. Normally I do, but just not in this instance.
You wanted to catch dinner, I got you. Tell you what, A&M South Carolina. Not a lot of folks are talking about A&M as a potential college football playoff sleeper. They're in the mix.
They're absolutely. That team is growing up. A lot of youth, a lot of opt-outs, a lot of losses to graduation, and they're playing some young, exciting players. And they've got an established quarterback that's consistently moving the football and making the right decisions.
Daniels on the zone read keeper. And tornadoes across the 30, third down.
You know, Anish, as we're entering into the fourth quarter here, just to give you a sense of just how improved Oklahoma is on defense. In the last 3 games that they have played versus Texas, Texas Tech, and TCU, they have allowed -3 rushing yards on 16 combined carries of those 3 teams in one quarter, that being the third quarter. This defense has come out and shut people down in the third quarter. That's given their offense a leg up. Kansas has 44 rushing yards before they started this series out of the third quarter, but it just gives you an idea of just how much more sound the Sooners are.
Parchment dropped it, and Kansas will punt. The issue early in the season was the back end, tackling especially from the defensive backfield. But you wonder, too, you know, they win their first game against an FCS school. Okay, you're supposed to lose to K-State and Iowa State. How much of that was because the offseason was not a typical offseason? How many teams have we seen so far where what we saw early on is not what we've seen in the weeks to come?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Fair catch by Mims. He's shaking his head. 13-18 to go. Sooner Nation this week mourning the loss of legendary basketball head coach Billy Tubbs. Tubbs died last Sunday at the age of 85. 4-time conference coach of the year, 2-time national coach of the year, the most wins in school history, and he led that 1988 Oklahoma team all the way to the national championship game. They ran into Danny and the Miracles, and the outpouring of remembrance and support from Stacey King, who was on that 88 team, Bill Self. That 88 team, Stacey King, Harvey Grant, Mookie Blaylock, and there is Hazelwood. And you told us earlier, Luke's, that that young man coming back from injury has a chance to be another dynamic weapon for this Oklahoma offense. A huge recruit coming out of high school.
Huge recruit, and Oklahoma landed him late in the class. It was a huge signee out of the state of Georgia, and he really showed flashes a year ago. So I think they're very, very excited about him. By the way, in regards to Billy Tubbs, all right, he took over a program in 1980 that had been to the NCAA tournament one time in 32 years.
Yeah. Less than a decade later in the championship. One other name on that 88 team, one of my favorite players from that period in college basketball because of the nickname, Ricky Amazing Grace.
How great, right? What's better, Ricky Amazing Grace or Pistol Pete Maravich?
Yeah, that's a good one, too.
It's a good one, man.
One of the great scorers in the history of basketball, especially at LSU. Put up numbers that are just absurd by today's standards. Mordecai finds Rambo. Great block there. And Rambo free to go into the end zone, but a flag is down. Ian McIver threw a nice block on the perimeter.
Or did he ever?
Holding. Offense number 11. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Hazelwood.
Yep. Going to see the bottom of your screen, number 11, right there on the right. And again, if you get your hands on the outside, the officials catch you doing it, and then you give the not guilty hands up. I'm not blocking him. I'm not holding him. They're going to toss the flag on you.
Timeout. Oklahoma.
Took a shot to his hip in the first half. Wasn't the same after that. Only played a couple of series in the second half before Tanner Mordecai came in. Mordecai, standing tall, fires a strike. Marcus Major hauls it in, his second catch of the season.
Yeah, the redshirt freshman running back, in-state prospect, and this is just a nice confidence throw on time. Likes what he sees, unleashes it. Right over linebacker level, right prior to the Kansas safety there. These are the types of throws that I think are so important for this offense when Spencer Rattler's not in the game, because Lincoln Riley, with every one of these tosses, with every one of these play calls, knows more about Tanner Mordecai in game situations.
On 1st and goal, Major forces his way into the end zone. Second rushing touchdown for the redshirt freshman out of Oklahoma City. And the onslaught continues.
More reps, more turns, and to your point, Anish, you don't know how far down your depth chart you're going to have to go in this wild and wacky fall that we've had due to the pandemic and all the testing each and every week and not knowing who your best players are going to be at the end of the week.
55-3 Oklahoma. Time for our Aflac trivia question.
All right.
Aflac.
Which Oklahoma quarterback holds the Big 12 freshman record for most passing yards in a single season? We were tossing this around during the break.
Well,
Rhett Bomar, maybe?
You got to go either way back or not so far back. So I'm going it's either Troy Aikman or Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford. Yeah. I will get the answer shortly. Pearson runs into a roadblock at the 20. With Kansas, you need to be patient. Characters playing in some big-time games during the end of his tenure there. Daniels losing the football and just got rid of it. Incomplete. There was a man in the area, so I don't think that'll be grounding.
Number 4 was in the area. There was no foul for intentional grounding. Second down.
Les Miles in season 2, and really this is year 1 when you think of everything they lost, all the new faces, a pandemic, no spring ball.
Well, as an administration, you need to pay close attention to the pattern, the blueprint, what they're trying to execute. You know, staying away from the quick fix junior college route so that you can establish long-term depth and viability with players that are going to stay in your program for a while.
Flag is down. And across the 40-yard line, Amori Pesek-Hickson, true freshman who debuted last week. Another building block.
Illegal formation. Offense, more than 4 in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
All right, final answer on the Aflac trivia question. You're going Bradford or Aikman?
Yeah, I'm going to go Aikman.
Aikman?
Aflac.
Survey says Landry Jones.
Yeah. Landry. How did we skip over Landry? He had a prolific career.
Really good.
Redshirt freshman. What? Following Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
Out of Clovis, New Mexico.
He was the guy, remember, that was the season, I believe, that Bradford got hurt, and he had to step in.
Right.
As we were talking about, though, for Kansas, this is going to be a long road. And Les is the 4th full-time head coach since 2010. They haven't won more than 3 games in a season since 2009. That was Mark Mangino's final year. This may be one of these rebuilds where it is a 5-6 year process. That's just the reality of it. It may not be your, hey, 3-4 years, we're good. You may be better in 3-4 years. And another sack. And Oklahoma has tied a school record now with 9 sacks.
Anish, he's
Daniels
hurt.
is down.
And
he's hurt, and it doesn't look good. Isaiah Thomas got in the backfield. Daniels is down. Oh, and that does not look good. He is twisted in ways the body should not twist. We're going to step aside. Kansas, Jalen Daniels did not appear to be in pain. That punt is shanked. but he needed help walking off the field. Oklahoma tried to pick that ball up. That was dangerous. And do they hold on to it? Kansas says they've got it.
Officials are talking about the Kansas player that the ball hit.
Yeah, if it hit a Kansas player first, that's illegal touching. Kevin Moore and the
Illegal
white hat.
touching, kicking team. It was touched at the 30-yard line. It'll be first down, Oklahoma.
So Sooners ball. Big concern for the Sooners moving forward from this game. The status of their starting quarterback, Spencer Rattler, took a shot to the hip in the first half. Did not look right for the remainder of the half. Came out and played the first few series of the second half before going to the bench.
Yeah, now you see the young freshman who got a little antsy there on that first throw. Probably could have thrown a touchdown if he had a different trajectory on the ball. And, you know, I think that with the bye coming up, Anish, and the injury to, Spencer Rattler, I know we were a bit puzzled as to why he was continuing to play, even at the end of the first half, let alone the third quarter. You're now getting an opportunity to get two different signal callers, valuable reps. You see the ice wrap going around the waist and the hip there for Spencer Rattler. He's going to spend a lot of time over the next 2 weeks in the training room rehabbing and getting himself set for a potential Big 12 championship run. But they're excited about Chandler Morris. His prolific high school career, played in the Under Armour All-America game a year ago. And, welcome to college football with your first throw.
Four-star quarterback at a high school, an ESPN 300 prospect, and Morris reaching in for a touchdown. First collegiate touchdown for Chandler Morris. And more smiles on that Sooners sideline.
Andrew Rain, 73. Anton Harrison, 53, okay? You've got Seth McGowan, number 1. Chandler Morris, number 4. They're all true freshmen. Oklahoma getting valuable reps for a lot of their young guys. Remember, you've got the extra year of eligibility. All this does is make your roster better, as we see Spencer Rattler looking on and excited for his teammate Chandler Morris.
62-3. Now that whole Clemson tenure for Dabo was on the verge. Chad Morris comes in, transformed that offense with Taj Boyd. And
the offensive line that Oklahoma was putting forth over the last 2.5 weeks, that's why Spencer Rattler has had so much success in the passing game, because their play-action game has just exploded.
Handoff on first down for a gain of 9 for Pesach Hickson. New quarterback for Kansas is Miles Kendrick, junior out of California. Came on in relief of Thomas McVitie in the season opener, and then he replaced an injured Jalen Daniels against Oklahoma State. Started against West Virginia, and now replacing Daniels again, who left the game after a big hit. Pesach Hickson moves the chains. Chris with an update on Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels is walking around on the sidelines under his own power, obviously still grimacing on that left ankle. He was saying the outer part of that left ankle was the part that was bothering him, but he was able to put on his shoe and is walking under his own power.
That's a good sign.
It is.
He is, as we said at the start of the broadcast, he is kind of that shining light at the end of the tunnel for this Kansas program. This staff believes they have a quarterback who one day will be really good in the Big 12.
Well, and keep in mind, we've talked about the process. It's going to be a long haul, and you better hunker down if you're a Kansas fan or a Kansas administrator, because you're not going to wave a magic wand. Here's the thing, though. If Les Miles and his staff can and do recruit, I think we all understand that Les Miles can recruit. Is he and his staff the ones coaching these kids? If you get successive 3, 4, 5 more classes in, will it be his staff coaching them? Can you mount enough wins and equity for the administration to have faith in you?
I think they're at a point where you're going to have to decide, we're giving these guys 5 years or however long that period is going to be. Because what's happened with the previous coaches, a couple of years in, what do you start to hear? Hot seat, hot seat, hot seat. Then they go and get a bunch of junior college guys to save their jobs.
Yep.
And the cycle continues to repeat and repeat and repeat. And then when the next coach comes in, you lose a bunch of guys. You're behind in the scholarship count. There's only so many times you can hit factory reset.
Yeah.
What I'll ask you is, if you're a Kansas fan who's out there saying, why is this going to be any different? Why will this turn with this staff be any different? What would you say to them?
I would say that anytime you want to flood your roster with junior college recruits in recruiting, it's a high-risk, high-reward proposition. Because if they pan out, great, but they only pan out for the short term. If many of them don't pan out, now you have completely crushed your depth and your long-term viability of a healthy roster. So while you're going to take your lumps early by going heavy freshman classes, all right, staying away from the transfer portal, away from junior college transfers, it's not going to be easy, but you're going to end up having fourth, fifth year juniors and seniors in your program that you've never had before, ever. And that is what you're hoping to get to.
A great example of that was Jim Grobe at Wake Forest.
Oh, great example of it.
He knew he wasn't going to get the best players in the ACC, so you load up on freshmen, you redshirt them, and you build a team on fourth-year juniors and fifth-year seniors.
That's what Iowa State's done. That's what Matt Campbell's done.
Now, this is Les Miles' son, Ben, rumbling for a first down.
All right? It's like an icebox with arms.
Second season at Kansas for Les Miles, who is one of only 6 active coaches in college football to have won a national championship as a head coach.
He's over there talking to his quarterback right now, checking in on him. A little conversation of how you feeling. Yeah, I tell you, Les Miles was exuberant this week. He's excited about the future. A lot of positive things to say about, some of the younger kids that are now contributing. But he knows it's not going to be easy.
Pesek Hickson. Oklahoma saying the ball came out. All right, you got to tell the story that Les Miles reminisced with you on our Zoom call the other day about when Les was filling in as an analyst for us during National Signing Day.
Yeah, he did signing day. And, that's a long day, right? I mean, you're 11 straight hours of live television, and he came in with us, and they put our coaches on a rotating schedule. Yeah, a coach would come on with us for 2 hours at a time. So, he's, made a lot of money on a buyout, right? He's just been let go by LSU, and the day's over. We've all worked hard. We've prepared hard, and it's a long day of television. And Les Miles, we all go back to the hotel and reminiscing as a group, and he decides he's going to be the good guy, right? He's going to go and he's going to, put his credit card down, take care of the whole crew, and didn't realize that one of our coordinating producers had already planned on doing that and treating the rest of us. That's the one thing he remembers. Hey, Lugs, do you remember that time I put my credit? Well, listen, I think he could afford it, all right? But, he wanted to get to that story quickly on our call with him this past week.
He still remembers it.
Yeah.
You're telling me it was already paid for? It was going to be paid for?
It was going to be paid for? Nobody let me know?
3rd and 6 for Kendrick, who began his career at the College of San Mateo, a junior college out in California. And it'll bring up 4th down after a run by Pesek Hickson. Now, the one thing Les Miles has done, the mark of a great mind is often the willingness to change. And with his offensive coordinator, Brent Dearman, he has adopted the contemporary frontier of offense in college football.
What has everybody always criticized Les Miles for? Not staying away from the offense, not meddling, not allowing his coordinators to actually run the offense they were hired to run. It has become a complete reversal in that regard. He's hired Brent Dearman, who has a strong RPO-based background, strong passing game background, and you can tell just by watching Kansas, Les Miles is not coaching this offense. He's not involved in this offense. This is Brent Dearman's offense, and they know they've got a good scheme. They feel like they've got some young players. They also realize they're not going to be able to function consistently until they get better up front. That's just the bottom line.
Oh, and boy, Daniels just can't get out of the way. First down pickup by Kendrick, and
That's a brick wall behind him.
It's already hurt. He's been sacked a gazillion times today. Play clock expired. Did Kansas get a timeout? No.
There was no foul for delay game prior to the play clock running out. Timeout.
The scheme is sharp. The scheme is good and sound, and he's got a lot of creative ideas. There's a lot of diversity to the offense in terms of formations, personnel groupings, shifts, motions.
That's Tristan Golightly, no relation to Holly.
That's one of those freshman receivers they like. They're going to start playing more and more of these guys, Anish, because where else do they have to go but up? Invest in the guys that you've brought in the program. They only know your way. They don't have bad habits of the past. They don't have a lingering taste of losing in their mouth. That's not what they know. All they know is what you are preaching.
Golightly's a good-looking one, 6'4", 200 out of Mesquite. Kendrick lost the ball, able to cover it up. And third down now for Kansas. So that's, in a lot of ways, the story of the afternoon. 2nd and 1, right? And now 3rd and long.
2 steps forward, 1 step back. And that's really every time there's been a bright spot or there's been something that you say, okay, maybe they can build upon this. It's a penalty or it's a self-inflicted wound, something that negates the play.
On the flip side for Oklahoma, less than a minute here from a blowout win against Kansas, as expected. Bye week, and then Bedlam. The way Oklahoma is playing, and if Spencer Rattler is healthy in 2 weeks, do you feel the Sooners are the team to beat in the Big 12?
Not only that, but watching the rest of college football lay out, I know they have 2 losses, but this is a team that's hitting its stride at the right time. They're better on defense than they've ever been before. I'm not so sure they're not going to be one of the top teams in the country when it's all said and done.
Well, some good news for Oklahoma. Oklahoma State beat Kansas State today. That means if the Sooners win out, which would include a win against Oklahoma State, and Kansas State loses one more time, and the Wildcats still have to play Texas, and they still have to play Iowa State.
Correct.
If that happens, very reasonable.
And Texas won today.
Oklahoma would be in the Big 12 championship game. That's the math for the Sooners right now. Win out. Kansas State now only has to lose once more, or Iowa State would have to lose 2 times. And K-State and Iowa State still have to play each other.
Yeah, listen, and anytime you mention Iowa State, Kansas State, all right, it's a tough out. You're not going in and just running away with that game. I don't care who it is. Those 2 teams are too well coached.
Final seconds. Kendrick stepping up. Completes. And did Kansas get into the end zone? They do. Will Huggins, the tight end, at 6'7", scores on the final play of the game. Sooners have won 22 straight in November. They've won 4 in a row now since that 0-2 start in Big 12 play. They got a bye week, and then they got Bedlam, and they need to make sure Spencer Rattler is healthy before Oklahoma State comes to town in 2 weeks.